Hey guys, it's Sam and welcome back to Vlogmas. I'll be wearing this sweater probably in a lot of Vlogmas videos, and this lipstick also. One, because this lipstick is like going bad and I just want to, wear it for the season and then be done with it. It's a brand I no longer support anyway, so I've had it, but this lipstick color has gone bad way quicker than other ones by this brand, so be aware of that. But this is like the only time of year I can wear this sweater, my N7 Christmas sweater, so I'll be taking advantage as per usual. But welcome back to Vlogmas. This is actually going to be a wrap-up of my 2020 goals. Now, I was originally going to combine this with my 2021 goals, but one, I'm filming this a little bit earlier in December and I'm still thinking about some of those things, and two, I feel like that'd be like a really long video, so I'm gonna break this down the same way I would like a wrap-up and a goal-setting video for BookTube, like separately, because I think there's a lot to talk about with 2020 goals and actually how well my 2020 goals actually went and what I did end up learning throughout the year and all of that. So I think there's a lot to actually talk about with this separately from my new goals. So for the last couple of years, if you've been following me for a while, I do like a pretty in-depth like goal setting thing at the beginning of the year. It's not a New Year's resolution thing because I break it into like very manageable goals and I kind of make my yearly goals into quarterly goals and everything. But what I start out with doing is I usually pick a word for the year, like a theme that I sort of want to embrace. And then I will have a spread in my bullet journal of me in one year with all these different kind of categories and how I want to feel in those categories at the end of a year. If I were to look forward into the future and kind of like vision board myself, which I don't do vision boards, but if I were to kind of picture like where I want to be in a year ideally and what would make that more possible, and I put that into sort of like themes and then I make goals out of those ideas. So my theme of the year in 2020 was actually balance. And it's so funny because this was a year that I was starting to move more towards, again, like balance. And the last couple of years, 2019 and 2018, were pretty challenging. My word for 2018, which is the first year I did this, was conquer. I was finishing up grad school, a lot of things were happening, and actually my 5-year relationship ended at that year, and there was just a lot going on, so conquer was like a very fitting word. And typically speaking, the word that I choose does become like very self-fulfilling, so it's interesting that I chose a word like conquer for 2018 when 2018 was a very hard year that felt like a thing I needed to conquer. 2019 was growth, and 2019 was also kind of hard in a lot of ways. I don't think that there's really ever a very easy year, but 2019 was a little bit challenging because I was growing in a lot of ways that were hard. There was a lot of things that I was going through as far as like identity stuff and stuff with my body, which I've talked about now, referenced in other videos, and it was just not the kind of growth that I was expecting. I was kind of thinking like gentle growth, and this was more like hard. And then with 2020 being balanced, like who would have thought that there would be a lot of like forced balance? I think I found a lot of balance mental health wise this year. Like me as a person internally is like in such a better place, and I think a lot of that is because of 2020 and what 2020 forced all of us to do. So let's get into it. So first I want to go into kind of like the themes that I set for the year as far as like general like what I wanted out of the year, and then I'll go into my goals and like if I achieved those or not. But the first category for me in one year was career. I said here that I wanted work-life balance, I wanted to feel fulfilled, I wanted to have my LSW, which is my licensed social work license that you have to have in Illinois because I moved to Illinois at the beginning of 2020. I wanted to have my supervision for my final license figured out and a date for my LCSW, which is my highest clinical license as a licensed clinical social worker. Oh, and I had a question mark around contract work. And as far as all of those things, I actually achieved all of those things. And at the beginning of 2020, I didn't know how that was going to happen. I knew I was moving to Illinois. I knew that I was hoping to get like a therapist job, but I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if I was going to get a therapist job or a like hospital job. And it really worked out. I do have work-life balance. I really do feel like I have a really good schedule. I am in charge of my schedule. I'm in charge of the kind of clients that I have. I pick when I work. All those things are awesome and that are just not possible in a lot of other, career paths within social work. I am a part of a group practice for therapy, and so I feel very fulfilled by that. I really enjoy the clients I work with. I just feel really good at my job. There is no bureaucratic bullshit that I have to deal with because it's a small group practice and run by a therapist, so she knows our struggles and stuff. So there's not people that have never done your job telling you how to do your job, which is one of the things that I struggled with the most. I have very little interaction with coworkers because it's a solo job. Like you do you, which is really kind of fun. I did get my LSW in July. That was a little bit delayed because of COVID stuff, but I was able to get that. And I did apply for my LCSW, and I will hopefully be taking the test for that and getting that in like maybe January, February at the very latest of 2021. So all the things that I said I wanted to do, I got figured out. The only thing is contract work, but I put a question mark by that anyway because I just really haven't decided what I want to do with that. but I've been brainstorming that a little bit for 2021. Then this connects a little bit to financial. So for financial, I wanted to pay off some of my medical bills. I wanted to get a new phone. I wanted to replenish my emergency fund because I knew I'd be using my emergency fund when I moved back, which I did for quite some time, for almost 6 months, because I didn't have a job. I couldn't get a job because of COVID, so I was living off of my savings, and I have an emergency fund, which is just that. It's for emergencies where you're like out of work or something to pull from. So I knew I wanted to replenish that, and I also wanted a travel budget because I did want to do some traveling, which obviously didn't get to happen in 2020, but I didn't necessarily think it was going to, but I wanted to have a budget for trips. And I also did all of this. The medical bill thing, I did some payments on it, but then the bills, like, they sort of forgave because they were such old bills, and because COVID happened, they did some like relief stuff with the hospital that I was paying my bills to. That was gone. I ended up getting a new phone in like March. I more than replenished my emergency fund. By the time that I move out again, I'll have a full year of emergency savings saved up for my expenses once I move out, if I were to lose my job, which the chances of me losing my job is very slim, but it's there for emergencies. And I also have my full travel budget specifically for when I do want to go see Sarah Jane, which will hopefully be in 2021, maybe 2022, but I want to go see Sarah Jane over in the UK, and I have the full budget for that, as well as my budget for when I do move out of my parents' house. So all of my savings goals are completely in order, which is a thing of privilege, obviously. Like, I didn't work for a lot of this year, but I was able to make some money off of YouTube, which allowed me to pay for my expenses while I was here and not pull a ton from my emergency fund. And then since living here and staying here during COVID, which is the only time that I ever would have stayed with my parents, I was able to save up a ton of money. Student loans weren't being paid because of COVID relief and everything, so I had barely any bills. I was just paying for food. I wasn't going out to eat or anything or like doing anything, so I just had a surplus of money that allowed me to save up during this time, which I know is something that not everyone got the opportunity to do, so I feel very fortunate that this space did allow me to do that. The next really big category was mental. The big things here were getting my anxiety under control. At the end of 2019, I had a really huge anxiety flare and just was feeling really poorly with that whole thing, so I wanted some anxiety management. I wanted to embrace more digital minimalism. I've talked about this before, but doing more breaks from social media and just having a less digital life, which I'll get into that in a second. I wanted to focus more on body confidence and body neutrality. I have done a video about my intuitive eating journey, so I'll link that on the screen that goes into more detail about that, but the big themes around this were some gentle nutrition, some joyful movement, and finding some joy in cooking again, because I had taken such a break from cooking due to that whole journey, which again, linked up above. And then also I wanted to document my life moments. I every year kind of say that I want to take more pictures and document my life more, and yeah, so most of this actually did get to happen. There was a few places where like some of these things didn't happen because of circumstances, but generally speaking, all the body stuff really came together. Again, I talk about that more in the other video, but I'm feeling in a better place with my body now, even though I'm not able to move as much and do some of the things that I want to do because of COVID, but I'm in a much better place now than I was under normal circumstances because of everything. My anxiety management, totally under control. I got hooked up with a psychiatrist. I am on a very low dose daily anxiety medicine, and it's been life-changing. So I'm much better able to manage that. I will always have anxiety, but now it's managed. As far as the documenting life moments, there weren't a ton of life moments to document. I did do a lot of picture taking when we were in Mexico at the very beginning of March, around my friend's wedding that I went to, and that was great, but like after that there was really nothing. So but that's due to the external circumstances. That wasn't me not fulfilling my goal. It was just like that really didn't get to happen. I still do want to figure out a way to easily do that, because there's one thing to like, okay, yes, Instagram, stuff like that, but I am just not a big picture taker. My family's not, but I want to be. Like, I want to document these moments. So I have thought about like getting a Polaroid camera or something and having one of those really cute like Polaroid walls or something like that, just to encourage me more, but I'm still giving it some thought. If you have any ideas, link them down below. And then the digital minimalism was hit and miss. I did at the very beginning of the year take some more social media breaks, and then I didn't really for a lot of like spring and summer because I was not working, there was nothing else to do. That's how we all stayed connected. Like, this was not a year for digital minimalism. I got into TikTok, which I think has actually been like, there's been pros and cons to that. I spent a lot of time on TikTok, which I will get to when I talk about like my goals for 2021. But I've been able to manage that more in like the fall and winter and not doing that so much. So I've set some guidelines for how much I want to be on each app towards the end of this year, I did an hour max a day, I think, maybe it was a little bit less than that, on TikTok before it gets turned off, and half an hour on Twitter and Instagram before they get turned off. I might make that even stricter under normal circumstances when I can actually like live my life, but right now it's like that's how we're all staying connected, and I'm fine with that. So digital minimalism will be a thing that I'll work even more into 2021. But again, that was out of my control. Who would have thought that this would have happened and we would have had to stay connected in this way? And then the last arena was relationships, which you're gonna know is like, this wasn't really a thing that happened. Obviously, I knew I was moving back here, and my plan was to reconnect with friends that were still living around here, make some new friends. I basically wanted to have like quality friends, like a small group of people that I like trusted and like spent time with, and like that felt very like we were mutually fulfilled by the relationship and all those healthy things about relationships, as well as some like regular family time. I mean, I got regular family time with my parents, but like no other family because we haven't been able to see each other. And I didn't really do any kind of focus on like dating or anything. I was like, I want to focus on friends, and if dating comes with meeting other people, cool. But like that really wasn't allowed to happen. I was able to do some more connections with existing friends. Like recently, some of my friends from House Out Book Club have been playing Among Us every Saturday, and we like talk and do that. I did make one friend very briefly over the summer when I was doing dating apps. I went on a distance date with a guy. We like just kind of got along, but not like romantically, and we're still friends. We're some of the only people that see each other. Like he only really sees me and like his family. I only see my family and him. We're not dating or anything, but like we hang out and play board games because we're both the same amount of isolated. He works from home, I work from home. Like we're like the same amount of exposed, truly. So I did make a friend unknowingly through a dating app, which is kind of funny. So then I did break these down into like actual goals and like themes and stuff, and then habits that I wanted to do attached to those. So for digital minimalism, I said no phone in bed, which I was able to do like very quickly. I don't ever have my phone in bed with me. Setting Twitter limits, which like I said, I did do, and I stick to it pretty closely. Some days I do like ignore the limit and get back on it, but like very, very rarely. I did say I wanted to do some kind of like email system. I kind of did this, but it's kind of going by the wayside a bit, but I did clear out like a lot of my emails at the very beginning of the year and deleted stuff I didn't need and put things into folders. I just have to stay more on top of that. And I also said I wanted a file system for my Mac. I still haven't worked out how to make that more efficient, but I also still want to do that, and maybe I'll get that done before the end of the year. The second overall theme I felt was just feeling good in my body. So the habits there were do movements that I enjoy. I think that I've pretty much sustained that as far as like doing the yoga, the swimming, and the lifting when I was able to go to the gym. I did say I want to try a new recipe every month. That has happened some months and not others. The anxiety treatment was another thing, and I was able to do that pretty early on in the year. I said I wanted to spend more downtime in nature. I don't know how like trackable that is. I definitely did more hikes and stuff this year, but not as many as I would have liked to, because I wanted to go to like some national parks and stuff, and I just couldn't this year. I mean, I could have, but it was just gonna be a pain in the ass with travel, so I didn't. And then the goal for relationships, which is like foster relationships, I couldn't do these habits just based on, you know, what was going on. I said I wanted to do like some kind of meetup or social meetup one time a month. I did do this at the very beginning of the year before everything hit, but obviously haven't been able to do that since. That's something that I want to carry into 2021 after everything is okay. And I wanted to do more activities with extended family, and I couldn't do that. I mean, I haven't seen my extended family since Super Bowl. But again, that's completely out of my control, so I don't feel bad about that. The other kind of theme I said was stable finances. So savings goals, I hit all of those, and paying off medical bills, that was also obtained. And then the last category was fulfilling career, and the habits that I set for that were getting supervision and finding stable employment, and I was able to do that as well. So overall, although 2020 was all over the place, I feel like I did really well. I feel like I've set myself up for a really good 2021. I feel in a much better place. There were some things even mentally that I didn't set the goal of or didn't necessarily think was going to happen and did. You know, I found a more like spirituality habits and practices with witchy things that I do now that is very fulfilling for me, and also very like intuitive and internal and very aligned with like psychology type stuff for how I practice. So that's really cool, has been really helpful, and wasn't even a goal that I had set. So a lot of that stuff is just going to move me into 2021. I just feel like I'm in a really good place, and then I can really focus on some of the relationship stuff that I want to focus on when that's available to me again. So I don't feel as stressed out about it. I was like, oh, I really was able to achieve a lot of things in 2020. If you weren't though, like that's fine. Again, there's a lot of places in here that I wasn't able to do that, and just give yourself some space, give yourself some compassion. Like this was a really rough, weird year that none of us could predicted. Try to find some places where there was some progress, because every single one of us has made progress somewhere if we just look. and maybe it wasn't the kind of progress that you wanted to make, but like something happened, something changed in your life. You know, we keep changing, we keep moving forward. So that is it for my 2020 wrap up. I will be doing my 2021 goals on a different day, so you guys will get to see what my plans are for 2021. But comment below, let me know goal wise how your 2020 went, what some unexpected things, you know, positive things that happened for you. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye.